Lisa McCarrell is a high school history teacher from California that has been harassed, smeared, and almost canceled by her history teachings.
Yeah.
What kind of history do you teach that you got harassed, smeared, and almost canceled?
Well, I teach early U.S. history, basically from colonial to Reconstruction after the Civil War. And so there's definitely a hot topic with everything that's going on. You'd never think teaching your founders and about the principles of the nation as being an exceptional and great story or great people would then all of a sudden become demonized, or you'd have to tread on water, tread lightly, when speaking of such, of Jefferson or Washington or approaching issues.
Bigotry, racism, sexism, etc. All those people.
Yeah, well, you always have to, of course, bring that in, right? So, you can't ever tell the story. It was getting to the point where you told the exceptional story of our nation without always having to make sure you talk about the flaws, the negative, the bad, and definitely do they need to be talked about for sure. But with the heavy-handed judgment was, becoming challenging. And I wouldn't say I was exactly canceled yet, but I definitely was starting to lessons that I haven't ever had a problem with. Teaching for 16 years in that area of early U.S. history, all of a sudden started to have, the principal calling me in or a parent claiming that the lesson was racist or wanting more explanation about it.
Give me a few examples. What kind of lesson can be, a lesson of history can be racist?
It's just, one never showed up. I was, as a constitutional convention and studying the debate actually about the banning of the importation of slaves. And, so they have different snippets of the different people debating within that constitutional convention. And I would have them, look at each argument and try to break it down in a moral, economic, or political argument, first of all, because I think a lot of times, too, we need to dive in and look at why and what was their stance, not just what, and not just what without the why, right? So, just kind of trying to understand those arguments. There's just things like that. I don't quite know what was racist about it, but that was the case. I was told by a parent once that my room was too white.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Too white? You mean the walls? The color of the walls?
I think it's because I maybe had a poster of Lincoln and Washington up, although I did have posters at the time of Jamestown, and I pointed out with the Powhatan tribe, but maybe it just wasn't the right color that was supposed to be up on the board at the time. But, little things like that, you could just feel that, there was something going on.
But that's history. You can't make the personas. You can make the personas up, right? So you can't say that I made this person. He was he was Asian, or he was Mexican, Hispanic, he was black, or black African American or something. So you show in the classroom people that founded this country, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
And you were guilty of that they were all white, and you were showing them.
Yeah. Even though there was other stuff there, and again it was It was actually a back to school night, and I was teaching an elective at the time, and so parents are filing in and filing out in between, and it's not just all about getting to know you and greeting, and a lot of parents just either I had their previous siblings and stuff, and just wanted to say, oh, nice to meet you on their way out, and these two parents, that I really thought I had a good connection with their child, and it was a fun class, and I did, but I was really thrown off when all of a sudden, they just had a face of, they were not happy, and the first thing out of their mouth was not like, hi, it's nice to meet you, Miss McCarrell, this is our daughter. It was, your room's too white. Like bunch of parents around, all waiting to say hi. One's coming in, some of that, and I was just thrown by that.
Wow, that started in 2021?
Yeah, it was before that. So it was before the whole COVID, and then eventually I was removed for refusing the vaccine. So the interesting thing is when we were in lockdown, and again, it just becomes where it's all about color, right? And you're just walking on eggshells, or you feel like you always have to. Everything is seen through that lens, unfortunately. Not the character, but it's now all defined by your skin color.
But it is defined as racism.
Yeah.
When everything you talk about is just the color of the skin, which we can't change.
Yeah.
We are who we are.
Right.
What happened with the vaccines? You refused to take one?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, and the interesting thing is that I was really bracing myself and regretting not being a PE teacher, with everything that was going down with the, Summer of Love and BLM, and it was a trying time, and I was just like, oh gosh, okay, so I'm going to be going back into this environment. I was already feeling, again, teaching this curriculum and being in that school for 16 years. I've never had any having to justify my lessons or be accused of being too white or things like that. So I kind of was already feeling that, and then just knew, oh my gosh, I'm going to go okay, I'm going to brace myself. This is going to be a tough year teaching. Not only having to teach through a diaper on my face, but also, having to touch the subject that I, teach. And, so I was, was not seeing that my fight would be my, bodily autonomy. That, no, I'm sorry. You're an educational institution, not my doctor. And also not going to tell me that I have to now not only wear a mask, not only test daily or weekly, weekly, had to be zapped, when you came in for your temperature every day. But now you're telling me, after returning and being on campus now, because we were moved in October. So I was there since August, but for some reason, October 15th, I became a threat and danger to my students. Yeah. And, so that's when you just know it was absolutely ridiculous. It was malicious.
So
tyrannical.
What was the school? It's in Santa Monica or LA?
West LA.
West LA.
Yeah.
Very liberal?
It's an excellent school. It's a gifted magnet within LA Unified. It's a great school.
What about the principal? What kind of principal? He or she
he came in during COVID.
Oh, he was substituted.
So the other one retired that we had. And so, yes, he came in. So, no, I'm not a fan of his. Was not treated well for my decision. And the irony is that I was awarded with a perfect attendance for the principal. And I was covering often for teachers who were vaccinated and testing positive nonstop. So I would go cover on my conference period. But again, on October 15th, for whatever reason, I became a threat to my students and to being on that campus.
That was one conversation when the principal told you that you can't teach anymore?
No, and a lot of the admin didn't know really until we didn't know until that final week. The mandate came out August 13th when the first day back. They waited the first day back. All of a sudden, everyone got the email that said you're going to need to be fully vaccinated by this date. And then, so you were supposed to have an interactive process, a religious, accommodation that was, submitted, and although accepted, you would be removed from the classroom, not allowed to be on site. And there was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of everyone has a very different experience too of teachers, custodial, cafeteria, counselors that were removed because they really didn't follow any protocol. It was, I didn't have an interactive process. Some teachers did. But I then, therefore, you waited. The principals didn't know. They were in my room as much, too, saying, so have you heard anything? Do you know what's going to go on? No, I haven't heard anything. They're supposed to respond. I turned in my religious for religious accommodation, blah, blah, blah. And these are awkward conversations. Like, truly, I just wanted to teach. Like, I was happy to be back in the classroom. So it's like to sit here and like have to, like, the principal in your room. So like, you have to get vaccinated. And I'd just be looking at them like, no, I don't. And I'm not. And have to tell them that. But then also be very exposed, because some people really were brainwashed and extremely fearful of those that were unvaccinated and getting sick. So, you don't really know who you were dealing with. You didn't know on campus if there was anyone else that put in for theirs and being rejected or not. And really, even just leading up to that last week of being removed, the principals really and admin did not know exactly how this was all going to go down or what was the deal. And then I think it was that Monday or Tuesday where the principal came in and said, you're going to have to be gone Friday. You're going to have all your stuff out and not return, basically. It'd be trespassing, not to come back on the campus. Turn in your stuff, turn in your keys.
Permanently.
Yes. And then I was like, well, I have a lot of stuff. I've been,
16 years
in that room. And I love transforming my room to whatever we're learning, right? Like, just because of the distant time, but also West Coast versus a lot of our country, right, is born out of the East. And to really know that time and to see those regions and to understand, right, you kind of have to have this visual in your head and a physical experience I totally believe in. So I would try to, turn my room into the Mayflower ship and have them get on board,
Really?
Yes, I have Civil War costumes that I wear, my billboards I was very, proud of, a lot of stuff. So like I'm thinking about and looking about all my stuff of where I'm going to put it in my apartment, how am I going to get it out of here, and how am I going to teach? Because I was insistent that, I'm going to teach every day. It's not as if they said, we're going to give you some time to pack up your room. And then also now everyone knows, right? Because this is what I said. Can I come in on Saturday then to close up my room? No, you got to be out Friday. I can't have the weekend. No. And I said, well, then the students will know. They're going to ask like, what's going on when they come in my room and everything's torn down, and I'm going to tell them, right? Like this is what's going on. So
how did the students react?
Oh, they were upset. Most were pretty upset.
Their age is what, 16 to 18?
Yeah. So I taught 8th graders and then I had one. And so some of them I actually had as 6th graders when we first went into lockdown. So they were so excited to have me as a history teacher and then just to be back in the classroom. And to be learning again. They wanted to do things. Excuse me. I really don't. Excuse me. I really don't like it when students are exactly used
for manipulation.
Yeah, and I felt at this point they went through so much that listen, this is an adult fight. This is my fight. You guys are good. Have a good school year. Enjoy the classroom. And I might be back tomorrow. I might be back next week, and I might not be back, but I'll be good.
But the attendance percentage is one of the ways to evaluate whether a teacher is good or not. If students attend your class, it means they love you.
Well, they had rotating subs, and I would get emails like, "Will you come back? It's horrible," and I can't read the letters. I get too emotional. But I had some really powerful letters when I left.
How did your colleagues react?
I had some that we were very close, like a family, and some that definitely did not want to either, but for other reasons felt they had to get it. So that was also difficult. There was one other teacher, that refused and was escorted out, and a couple custodial. There were some that were mean. Yeah, a good handful that were, there were some that just didn't say anything. It was kind of like, oh, I went, like, it was just kind of like ignoring that I'm packing up my room or things are going down or turning in things. There were some that were definitely.
They did a great job dividing you, right?
Yeah, they did.
Even amongst colleagues.
Yeah.
They were celebrating. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
What do I
How did it
do?
all
I'm
turn
still
out?
teaching.
I know that.
Oh,
Congratulations.
yeah. I mean, I've survived. Well, we'll see after this. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I'm teaching remote. So I was removed and then given a position as a reasonable accommodation to teach within remote schools, and I've been there since.
But in LA County, LA District, there is still a mandate to be fully vaccinated to teach
No,
on
that
campus.
was dropped. Gosh, when did they officially drop that mandate? Just the last school year. Everything's in school years to me, so I
Yes.
apologize when I say last year. It's always school years in my head. So yeah, they reluctantly dropped it, not because of course science, clearly, and we know it wasn't in there because of science, but because they got a big slap it from the Ninth Circuit. And so in part of a strategic of getting the case thrown out, right, and being moot, they moved to drop the mandate. But it wasn't out of the realization that they were wrong or anything like
They
that.
will
So
never admit to that.
yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't, when I was teaching the remote, at one point we were told that we could attend the graduation as a guest, but not as a teacher.
So you'd never had a call with the coming back? Please, Lisa, come back?
No, no. Now,
Do you think they're too prideful to make that call?
well, positions have been filled. You know, I believe that I should have my rights to return to my position I was removed for. It was, you know, it is a great school. It's a position that's not easily to earn or opens up that often. History jobs are not as available as other positions also. And to be, you know, the district is massive. So people don't realize to get in certain areas are very difficult, or to, you know, so to put myself, to not have the opportunity or not to be given back my rights to the position that I was removed from puts me in a position where I'm forced to then now have to go out and interview to get that position. And we're kind of, you know, honestly, they see that where I'm coming from the remote schools, that I was probably most likely a teacher that refused the vaccine. Plus, you know, I'm a costly teacher. I have 16 years of experience. So, you know, they can have two new teachers for the price of me.